I'm your host, Margaret O'Mara, and today, on June 20th, we'll be looking at the VIM building at Los Angeles Airport with resident Ed Thurman. Enjoy.
My name is Ed Thurman. I'm an architect. In 2000, May of 2000, my wife Georgie and I left Reston and moved to Green Spring. Recently, I finished my memoirs of the first 92 years of my life, and it occurred to me that on at least one of the highlights of my career, others besides my immediate family might be interested in the event. This is the event that I'm talking about. I was selected to be on a team of architects and engineers that would be on the design team for the Los Angeles International Airport buildings, and specifically the theme building. In May 2052, the Los Angeles architectural engineering firm Pereira and Luckman was awarded a contract by the city of Los Angeles to create a master plan for a new jet-age airport to replace its existing airport, which predated World War II. The city's goal was to make Los Angeles an international hub for air traffic. Today, LAX is the second busiest airport in the nation after Atlanta. The initial master plan featured a building at the center of the airport, which was designed to convey the image of jet-age travel. It consisted of a cylindrical structure supporting an observation deck with facilities surrounding the base for managing passenger departures and arrivals. A common baggage handling system was incorporated for use by all airlines. This rendering shows the huge glass dome that was envisioned to become a megastructure large enough to house full-grown palm trees with ease. This design was rejected because the airlines insisted on handling their baggage separately. The only surviving element of the design was the cylindrical core with the elevated observation deck. Replacing the glass dome of the first design would be two intersecting parabolic arches. Several master plans were considered before the highly effective existing plan was adopted. It consisted of a number of low rectangular ticketing buildings for processing passengers and baggage. From those buildings, passengers could walk through tunnels to an oval-shaped satellite building with a concourse inside and airplanes at the gates outside. The planes could surround the building in this way because passengers arrived underground. This plan was enthusiastically adopted by the airlines and has been copied by other airports. I entered the picture in 1958 when hired to participate in the preparation of drawings for the LAX buildings. Shortly after arriving, I was designated job captain for construction drawings of the theme building. Assisted by a team of several architects and engineers, our job was to prepare drawings and specifications from which the building, still under design, could be built. The desire to have a centrally located structure conveying the image of the jet age persisted. After designing the parabolic arches to support the concrete core, an observation deck, a restaurant was added under the observation deck to generate income. A ground floor was added to house kitchen facilities for the restaurant above and the several restaurants in satellite buildings. A bank and a barbershop were added later at ground level. Until now, the design consisted of little more than a concept drawing. But how do the many parts fit together? How are the graceful arches to be constructed and attached to the building? Restaurants demand strict fire safety measures. How are these to be satisfied for an elevated restaurant centered in one of the world's busiest airports? These are just a few of the questions that had to be answered with precision. Many people see the resulting building as a flying saucer or spaceship landing on its four legs. I see an exquisite sculpture crafted by the deft hands of a master artist. The building's four arch legs are fabricated in a steel foundry and welded into two parabolas as dictated by a structural engineer. To quote from the book A Symbol of Los Angeles, the two pairs of steel arches are sheathed and plastered to form graceful, sculptured, contoured profiles. Though elegant, the arches are also structurally strong. The completed structure contains 900 tons of steel. This photo shows the reinforcing steel for the concrete pad that will support the building core. Each bar is larger in diameter than my wrist. I know I placed my wristwatch on a bar after shooting this photograph. I was most fortunate in my half-century career to work on several projects so interesting I woke in the morning saying, "Oh boy, I get to go back to work." This project was such an occasion. Each of the four arch legs was fabricated in several pieces by Kaiser Steel. Concrete foundations were constructed approximately 8 feet below grade, with the first leg section bolted to a steel plate that was affixed to the foundation. This first section was filled with concrete and extended some 8 feet above the ground. A second hollow segment, large enough for a man to enter, extended to the height of the restaurant roof. Here, a horizontal section of the leg in the restaurant ceiling was attached to the concrete core, giving the building horizontal support from 4 directions. From the joint upward, smaller members were installed to complete the parabolic arch to the apex, where all 4 legs were welded together 135 feet off the ground. One design problem that dogged me for several days was how to provide for window washing. Restaurant windows were designed slanted out at the top. After half a century, I have forgotten the roof overhang, but 20 feet wouldn't be far off. Obviously, window washers could not be lowered over the edge, so approaching it from the concrete roof of the ground floor seemed like a natural alternative. Possibly a cherry picker could be used. They are quite mobile and easy to operate by a single person. But where would you store it? In a structure of the roof of this lovely building? That would be unacceptable. So for a structure to be on such a graceful lines, I was bereft of ideas. So I looked up window washers in the phone directory and selected the one with a huge ad. When I posed the problem, their answer was immediate and positive. In the soffit underside of the roof overhang, install a circular tract around the entire building, from which ropes can be lowered to support the window washers. Provide openings in the restaurant ceiling for access to the track. We will do the rest. A more significant problem was how to get a room full of diners out of an elevated cantilevered restaurant using two exits, 180 degrees apart. Architect Harrison Whitney provided the solution borrowed from a building many years earlier. The 30-foot diameter concrete building core is 85 feet high and is composed of several vertical concrete concentric tubes, one inside the other. Two clockwise spiral staircases were built within the space between the second and third tubes. The stairs cross within the space but never intersect. This is called a scissors stair. One challenge for the design team was to harmonize the building with its immediate environment. The solution was to build a circular wall at ground level, which defined the parameters of the site and created an interior courtyard. In this photo, fellow architect Harrison Whitney at right and I are posing in front of the newly completed theme building. Harrison was my mentor. While I was designing houses for builder Joseph Eichler, he was designing imposing office buildings for Bill Pereira. Harrison's were the deft hands that shaped the exotic building and we had just completed. Throughout the project, I had almost daily contact with the Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety. Because of the strong relationship developed over time, I received special attention when our unusual building required a favorable interpretation of a code requirement. This good extended through the final inspection, which involved approval of many unique features the inspectors had never encountered before and probably never did again. When the theme building restaurant opened in 1961, it was a bare-bones facility that did not fulfill the futuristic promise of the building exterior. More than 3 decades later, in 1993, Walt Disney Engineering leased the space, and a Disney team of inventive designers and technicians with a playful sensibility and deep pockets remade the interior with new decor and dramatic lighting. The venue reopened under the name Encounter Restaurant. This was an environment worthy of the space. Walt Disney had died in 1966, so never got the chance to see it. As a small aside, Lakers basketball star Shaquille O'Neal rented the restaurant to celebrate a birthday. The Department of Airports added exterior lights to wash the normally white building in vibrant colors at night. This added substantially to the building's allure. Colorful light towers were also added across the airport site in the parking lots. In March 2007, the restaurant was closed for 8 months after a 1,000-pound piece of stucco fell from an upper arch leg onto the restaurant roof. LAX is located at the edge of the Pacific Ocean, and salt breezes had permeated the arches, rusting the iron brackets supporting the stucco. To repair the damage, the top half of the building was stripped of stucco. Stainless steel brackets replaced the iron ones, and new moisture, water, and ice-proof stucco was applied to protect the structure from the elements. Also, fans were installed in each arch to keep it moisture-free, blowing air out of a vent at the apex of the 4 legs. Then, to reduce effects of any future earthquake, nearly 600 tons of steel plate were attached to the roof of the building core, and a device was installed to counterbalance the quake-producing motion with harmonic vibrations of its own. In the mid-20th century, flying was a lark. There was no routine inspection of passengers or their carry-on items, and family members could greet and send off their loved ones at the gate. But the 9/11 attacks and the shoe bomber attempt, both in 2001, changed all that. Now passengers had to remove their shoes and pass through congested security stations to get to their planes, and flying lost most of its appeal. At LAX, the theme building observation deck was closed to public use for security reasons, and passengers were rarely tempted to dine at the Encounter restaurant before or after a flight. Eventually, after a years-long drop in business, the restaurant closed on January the 8th, 2015. In 2002, my daughter Sybil, who lived in San Francisco, invited me to join her in California from Green Spring for my 80th birthday. At the end of my visit, we flew to Los Angeles to visit our old neighborhood and see friends. At LAX, she asked rather coyly if I would like to visit the theme building. I immediately said yes. As we approached the entry, I saw the 2 architects I work with most closely on the project. Sybil had set it all up. We had a birthday lunch at the Encounter restaurant, and Sybil marked the occasion with this photo of the 3 of us, Harrison Whitney on the left, Fred Orr on the right, and me in the middle. When our waiter discovered who we were, word spread fast. Soon a small group of staff clustered around to meet us. One waiter asked, was the design of the building inspired by the Jetsons? Without missing a beat, Fred Orr said, no, they were inspired by us. I've had the good fortune to work on a variety of interesting projects in fascinating places during my half-century career. In Morocco, Vietnam, Thailand, and Taiwan, among other places. But the most fun and rewarding, hands down, was the theme building at LAX.
Spring. All right, so today for our announcements,